Every time in this we record an episode, somebody inevitably is like, is that girl a dude? And I'm like, I'm just trying to mitigate that as much as possible. So now I just keep dressing sluttier and sluttier on this to be like,
It's a good play.
Yeah, it's a good, I'm just trying to I want the viewer to objectify me. I want them to be like, I listen to this podcast not because of the advice, not because of the humor, but because, I think she's a piece of meat. That's how I, want to be viewed.
Trying to get clicks. I'm wearing shorts. They're going to criticize me for the way my legs look.
No. See, I like you're showing a little skin too. Oh, he's a little shy boy. A little shy. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you like being objectified by men?
If I'm attracted to them. If I'm not, then I'd rather avoid it.
Are you mad if you don't get objectified by somebody that you want to find you attractive?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, because it's like, see me as a piece of meat.
It's very true.
Eat it.
Yeah. It's really true. I think it's something I've always wanted to talk about because I feel like it's really confusing to men sometimes. You're like, no, but I respect you. I'm like, yeah, but like you just I want a guy to also be able to be like, if you were a deaf mute, I would still just be obsessed with you. You know what I mean? I want that. I'm like, I want you to find me sexy as goddamn hell,
Yeah. I mean, they're like, oh, I don't want to objectify you, but it's like,
please.
What's the best way to objectify someone?
I guess just keep telling compliments about how I look.
Nice tits.
Yeah, I mean, make it a little
More personalized.
Yeah.
It's
you said objectify.
Well, when you get a letter, okay, let's say this. You get a birthday card from somebody, and let's say they just have may this year bring you lots of joy and light. And then they just sign it, and you're like, well, those are someone else's words,
Yeah.
But if they had a blank card, and they're like, you mean so much to me, your friendship is incredible, I'm so glad you were born, all this stuff, you're like, wow, personalized. So you say nice tits.
At the end of all that.
Okay.
Yeah, then that's good. But if you say nice tits, it's just a general thing. But if you're like, wow, your tits really turn me on, or whatever, I don't know.
What does it do to you? That's a great way. I think, what does this meat do to your meat?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
How does this affect you? Tell me how I'm a god.
This.
Okay, that's too much. That's too much.
No, it makes sense. I understand.
Do you like compliments?
No, actually, really. No.
Really?
Yeah.
It's hard for you to receive them?
It's like...
what if I tell you you have beautiful eyes?
that'd be very nice, but...
Does it hurt a little bit?
I'm slightly uncomfortable.
Why?
I don't know. It's just
Well, what's a girl, a nice way to a girl to behave to a guy? If a girl, I think a girl's love language a lot of the times is words of affirmation. We do like compliments. It never hurts. I always tell dudes, I'm the easiest way to get a girl to be happy is just to be you're so funny, or you're so beautiful, or you're so sweet. Just literally give her a compliment, and she's like, oh, cool. Women get excited when they hear compliments.
We want to collect compliments.
Yes.
And remember them forever. So be careful.
Yeah, no, it's true. But what's the male corollary of that?
we just need one every 6 months. And we can we just ride off that.
Well, probably I guess what you probably like to hear is you're so funny.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
That's the only one that really matters.
When a girl grabs your arm and is like, oh my God, you're so funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh,
I'm like, don't touch me, fucking
fuck you, fuck you. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. The other ones are just, they're not compliments, they're just more observations.
Neutral observation?
Yeah, they're just you're tall. And I'm like, thanks. Is that something you like? They're like, yeah, I like tall. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, you have freckles. I'm like, I do. Is that good or bad? They're like, no, it's good. I'm like, okay. I mean, this is weird. You're just pointing out things you see about me.
Yeah, they have to be a little bit more poetic about it. Because I don't, when a guy to me is like, you have nice eyes, I'm like, it's kind of almost I know. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, they're blue. It's one of those things. If you have light colored eyes, people are like, wow. And it's just I don't know. I like really specific ones. One time this guy told me my ears were hot, and I was like, that's fucking, I remember that, like collecting the compliments. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm remembering this shit forever. And I'm like, I have hot ears.
No one in life has ever told me I have hot ears. That's why I'm wearing pigtails to cover these big bitches up. Look at this.
Dude.
Look at they like.
They're nice.
They're nice.
I like them, but I've never had anyone tell me they're hot. Like they're cute. They're different.
Ears
They're
are-
ears. You have ears.
Look at my earlobes right now. It's the number one thing people talk about
What?
under every piece of content I've ever made. I had a whole video blow up because I made another video and a guy talked about my earlobes, and I didn't know that they were big, so I made a response and I was like, "Holy shit, they're fucking massive!" I'm just finding this out, and it was like a whole thing. People were telling me to get gauges. Other people were DMing me asking to suck on them, and I was like, "No."
Oh my God.
People were begging me to get my ears pierced.
Or earlobe reduction surgery. As though it's like when you're in LA, like you then just start collecting things to be self-conscious about. You're like, oh, wasn't aware that like my pinky toe should look a certain way. Like things that you find like insignificant that people are like, well, it's like, remember when Megan Fox got all this flack because she has like a weird thumb?
Yeah.
She does? I haven't seen.
She has just like a wide thumb.
It was
Gross.
like one of the main searches that popped up. It was like a club thumb, I think.
Yeah, she's a clubbed thumb. It almost looks like a toe.
And I think, but when people are
You look
that
retarded.
fucking beautiful, the general public wants to knock them down a bit. They want to see something not perfect. So then people get fixated on it. And I mean, I don't know. I think my thumbs look like regular fingers. I have people tell me that they're kind of weird. They look like
Who the
regular
fuck? See, these people are so rude. Who's telling you you have weird fingers and weird ears? Who's fucking these assholes that are trying to make you like self-conscious about your fucking earlobes? Who
Not try. They did. They succeeded. I know the guy's username that said it.
Okay. Also, have you ever seen somebody's ears and be like, you know what would look better? If you got gauges.
Yeah,
Ew.
never in my life.
Disgusting.
But like also if you have a thick earlobe, a gauge might be more painful to you than the average earlobe.
But why would you want it? Like,
It's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
They just look so like, what is this, 1998? Like, I don't fucking gauged ears. Like,
Yeah, why don't you get a chain wallet and fucking
a
Vans
lip ring,
and-
dude.
That's from the 90s gauges?
Yeah, dude. I feel like that
Bingos.
started in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it was like kind of like an alt thing. And now it's like, you know how like the middle of the country is like more recessed? Like it's almost like they're like Iraq, where it's like they're just like, we just got rush hour too. You know, like they just got, like, I feel that way in the middle of the country. Like it's like in Montana, it's like still cool to have gauges. You know what I mean? But in California, they're like, no, dude, now it's cool for you to be pansexual. And like, you know, it's actually weird. Like I feel like tattoos used to be cool. And now I feel like it's almost like cool when someone has no tattoos, because it's like, whoa, what a rare bird.
I have no tattoos,
No tattoos?
No tattoos.
but big earlobes.
Yes.
Do you guys want
Lot of
tattoos?
I can't think of anything I want to commit to, which is maybe a segue into how I feel about relationships. It's just, you know, symbolic.
So, yeah, how's the male front going?
Man, I was telling you guys before I got a dog. He's male. So, I mean, it's funny because like there's like a lot of overlap with what I get from him and a man. So not the sex,
Elaborate.
not the sexual shit, not that. But like, you know, like I think those hormones or chemicals, like feel good chemicals, like of when you cuddle with someone or when you like really love someone. I love my dog.
Oxytocin. That's
Oxytocin?
that's the touch chemical. That's like the dopamine is like an endorphin from like exercising or like, you know, an achievement thing.
Which I do more with him because he's a husky and he likes to run up hills, and I don't, but I'll do it. I'll do it for him.
Yeah.
And that's the dopamine.
Isn't it interesting how touch is just so like important to human beings that's why I'm like I'm a big supporter of like one night stands, because I actually think that they're really like, if you can be emotionally healthy and like deal with that, like, you know, to each their own. But I think it's important to like be sexually expressive and get your body touched and even just like make out with strangers and do that stuff, because it actually, there's something like chemically happening in your brain that makes you happy, and
Yeah.
that's kind of important, you know?
Well, it's funny because it's also like it turns into an addiction for some people.
Oh shit. Yeah, but then I feel like that's more psychological. That's like
Yeah.
more like achievement based. That's like wanting to get more notches on like your bedpost, as opposed to like, I just kind of want to like feel good in my own sensuality and sexuality.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I didn't know life could be like this.
Well, you're happy?
I'm
You're really happy.
I'm so happy. I'm like, maybe I'll never be able to do stand-up again. I'm so happy.
Wait, so what's the last relationship you had?
Relationship. I still have some, I don't want to call them side pieces because I don't want to be disrespectful, but I have some situationships that have been off and on throughout the years, depending on who's in town, where I am, where they are, what's going on, are we attached, single, whatever. And then I have an ex who's a very good friend, like, that I don't sleep with because I actually have emotional intimacy with him. And that's, something's wrong with me. I'm a comedian. So I have a big issue marrying emotional intimacy with physical intimacy. So if I'm very open with someone, like very comfortable, it's hard for me to like want to fuck them.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it sucks.
Why do you think? Do you feel like there's something like that's a derivative of anything, or
probably? Like, I think every sort of relationship. It might sound cliche, but like, it's sort of it mimics childhood.
Yeah,
your relationship with your parents, and like emotionally unavailable was like super normal. That was what it was. So if someone's too available, I feel smothered sometimes, or it's like something I want to work on. It's like Madonna whore, but for women.
Yeah, that's it. I was gonna say, like, do you think maybe it's like a power thing, like relinquishing power in every single way? It's like if I give you my physicality, my sexuality, then I'm gonna hold tightly to my emotionality. You don't get to access that aspect of me, and it's like a power thing. And then on the opposite side, like you're like, oh no, you get like my emotionality, my humor, all of that stuff, but like you don't get my body. So it's just almost like you get to like have control over something, because it is hard to like to be like a fucking like you get it all, like all of it, because then dude, the stakes become so fucking high, dude. Because then you're like, then your partner has to be like responsible for all this shit. Like they have to like sexually make you feel good, like mentally and emotionally make you feel safe and all this shit, and entertain you and be fun and be like, because you're just being like, all right, you're the one person. It's like, it's too much burden. It's
a lot of pressure. So
much fucking pressure.
And that's why I think I'm interested in different paradigms of relationships. Throuples. Would you do that? Yeah. I'm looking for a couple right now. I'll put it out there. I'm looking for a hot couple.
Go on Field.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded the apps.
Are you a little gay?
Yeah. Aren't we all?
I mean, yeah, I'm a little gay. I mean, men are a little like, nope, of course not.
I think they've been conditioned, but like how do you know?
How do you know?
I'm pretty. I know.
You always say.
I feel like the Bruins shirt says it all. I feel like that really. Yeah.
No, I just can't.
But if
your hat,
if a good-looking guy sucks on your earlobes, would you turn it down?
Well, if he's sucking on my earlobes, then I feel like I'm past the point of turning it down. No, it's just I wish men could get me hard. My life would be it'd be an easy place to live.
Do you ever watch gay porn?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there's sometimes like notice that like I know that I never want to have a relationship with a woman. I just like you just kind of know. It's like when people are like homosexual or non-binary, they're just like, or like trans, they're like, I just know. Like I just feel it's just so like you just feel that way. Like I'm just like, it doesn't interest me. Like it just doesn't. I can't even feign that. Then you're like lying to yourself, like the way that somebody who is gay would be like just trying to force heterosexuality onto themselves. They'd be like, I am fucking gripping my teeth. I can't do this.
They have summer camps for it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There was that.
It's fucked up.
This has been going around. You ever seen that video from back in the day where it's like this little kid? He's like, everybody better be jumping. And he's a pretty flamboyantly gay young boy, and it was a very funny video, so it went viral. And then that was 8 years ago, and now he's a teenager and he's a repressed Christian preacher. Ooh. That preaches like he said he was cured by the church or something. Ooh. Now everyone's like, oh man, I hope you find yourself, brother. But that seeing the first video and being like, that's the gayest young man I've ever seen in my life, to seeing him read a Bible on TikTok is fucking kind of sad, but funny, you know?
Oh, dude. Yeah, that is really, I mean, just like the stigma that's around, I'm so glad that we got to a point in our lives where sometimes like the world feels like a dumpster fire, but then I'm like,
sometimes
but it's like in context and in perspective, like just taking consideration that like being gay was like pretty much illegal up until a few decades ago. That's like,
it was a bigger dumpster fire.
Yeah, that's a pretty big stride. Like, that's pretty fucking big. Like, so, but there's still, like, you can't discount the fact that the people have, like, psychological damage, and, like, there's so much passed down judgment and all this shit that you kind of inherit through, like, familial means, and, like, well, you know, it's fine. I guess the court of law says gay marriage is fine, but not in this family. And you're like, oh, like, people still live in that world, so... It sucks. But so, okay, you are seeking a potentially interesting, non-traditional arrangement. You're open to whatever.
So. I think so, because, I mean, ever since I was young, I never really wanted to get married. I've never really wanted to get married. I hate the times when I've lost myself in relationships. And I don't know. I haven't been in an actual throuple. Like, I want to see what that's like. Like, what if I love it?
I mean, I think it's going to work.
Yeah.
I think it's going to work for you. You're hot. You could definitely, like, you just got to download the app. I want to have you back here in, like, months from now and be like, so what's the progress? Like, we got to do check-ins with people where it's like, they're like, I want to do this. And I'll be like, so?
I come back. I have another dog. I have 2 dogs. That's my throuple.
All right, we got some questions for you.
Okay.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
We're going to give you guys some real fucking good, just real good advice.
What does a toxic relationship look like? And how do you get out of one?
Oof.
I laugh because so many of my relationships have been toxic. Because the whole thing is like being attracted to unavailability. Emotional
That's what you're attracted to?
Yeah, but it's not even conscious. I mean, now I'm conscious of it, but like I sort of see, why am I like drawn? Like, why do I feel sexually attracted to this and not to someone who's like available in here?
Someone's available, they're lame, dude. Yeah. You're like, oh, what are you doing, you fucking loser? Oh, you want to hang out? You got nothing better to do than to hang out with me? Don't you have any like hobbies?
So it's, I mean, like, so... I mean, there's so many red flags. I think people tell you, like, the red flags in those first few moments, you know? Like, they'll tell you about something that happened with an ex. And then, for me, usually it'll turn me on.
Anytime somebody's like, my ex is fucking crazy, I'm like, you're bad. Yeah. You're bad.
But just collecting red flags, I mean,
I guess this could be a 2-parter, because the next question is biggest red flags.
Yeah.
So,
and then, what's the biggest what comedian?
Being a comedian. That's like, comedians are sad.
We're mentally ill.
Yeah.
Like, it's not normal. I did tell people, like, it's really not normal to go on stage and seek love from strangers. It's like really ridiculous.
What brings you to that point? Like, deep fucking sadness brings you to that point. Like, like, I wouldn't have done this.
There's a desperation in, like, the love that you seek.
Yeah, if I got hugs, I wouldn't do this shit.
Yeah.
So I think, like, a big red flag is anyone who's in a relationship with a comedian. So inherently being in a relationship with me or any comedian is a red flag. If you're attracted to that, then what the fuck is wrong with you? Fuck is wrong with you?
Well, you know what's funny, though, about red flags is that, like, I have either negated them, because like when you like someone, you just like them, and that's a fucked up thing. It's like, it's almost going back to like what you're attracted to, you can't really fight it, and so like you'll just kind of like really easily overstep them. But a part of like mitigating those red flags is having boundaries, like having like, no matter what, this is kind of like, with me, this is kind of the boundary. Like, I can't do yelling. Like, if a guy like yells at me or speaks to me coarsely, I'm just like, no. I'll be very like, I am like, absolutely not. But here's the weird thing, man, because sometimes I'll say this, and this might sound a little confusing. This is a little fucked up, but I have negated some red flags.
Yeah.
And been like pretty open about, then like kind of been like, oh, I don't really like that, or that's kind of weird, or whatever. And then been kind of open about my trepidation with it.
Yeah.
Been like, hey, this kind of concerns me about you. And then they kind of like saved it. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I feel like if you're communicative with people, especially about your needs, because people can change. Like, if someone really loves you, they will like alter some, as you will as well. Like, I mean, we're not like, unless you're fucking crazy stubborn. But like I'm pretty malleable. You know, there's things that what you can't change is personality, but what you can change is behavior. So some things about your personality, you're like, well, this is just kind of inherent to who I am. If you don't like this, then you have to kind of adjust to who I am. Or maybe you don't like me. Maybe just consider that you don't like me, you know, comprehensively. And that's fine. You might like these parts of me, but this is also a part of the soup.
And that's a compatibility issue.
Yeah. But it's interesting because like sometimes we can pick and choose the things that we are like, I'm like, oh, I do like this part of them. But then you're like, well, I can live with that because of all this stuff that I quite like, you know? But I think that's the thing. It's like I've adjusted behavior wise, like for a partner because like they're like, hey, like, can you keep this in mind or just try not to do this? And I'm like, you know what? Like if it's gonna make you happy and gonna make me ultimately happy, then like I can do it. And they do the same goddamn shit for you as they should. So it's really just about this, like, it's about boundaries and compromises all the time and constantly like going in oscillating between those two things. But I feel like, are there like specific red flags like in behavior that like, you know what I mean? Like instead of being like a comic, are there things like, this guy's always
name
late.
Dropping.
Oh yeah, ew, that's douchey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who just like not know. Well, you know, it's so funny. I'm so far removed from like seeking new people that I'm just like, what are red flags now? Everything is like, is that?
Do you feel like you have relationship amnesia? Like I can't remember the guy. Like I'm like, what was that like? I don't even remember if like some relationships I'm in. I'm like, was I happy? I don't even remember. I really don't.
It was just so bad that we're just like,
I don't know. Not even bad. Like just like I don't even remember specifics. Like I'm just like, what is that? Like I think it's almost like your body does that when you've moved on to be like, don't think about them anymore. They're dead. They're dead.
I just remember if I was good or if I was bad in that. It's just like, did I fuck that up or did they? And that's all I remember is who.
But then I don't even remember that. Like I don't like. I'm like looking back at some one relationship. I for sure know that I fucked it up. But then there's some that I'm like, I don't even know, dude. Like I'm like, I have no idea.
So I thought of one. Intensity. When someone...
That's a red flag? Intensity?
Yeah. When someone goes in and they're like, they don't know you, but they're like, you're the shit. Like, they just put you on a pedestal. And then it's like, okay, that person's probably emotionally unavailable because they're chasing you to fill a void. And like addicts do, they'll probably drop you once the high wears off.
That pedestal's gonna get kicked, and then you didn't realize that they fucking tied a noose around your neck, and then you're like, oh shit.
You came after me! You wanted me, you piece of shit!
I feel like men do that more than women. Do you feel like, is there any like chicks that you've experienced that have been like come onto you so strong and then like ghosted you?
No.
But do you know
I've never been chased in any manner.
That's not true.
Dude, I'm pretty sure it's true.
Those lobe lovers?
Well, yeah, there's those. Occasionally, someone will seek me out for my earlobes, but that's all they want from me.
They just fetishize
being objectified.
She earlobes. You're like, okay, fine, just this once, right?
I'm just crying in my car on the way home, calling my friend. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if
it happened again.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Chubby loaf chasers.
If a girl, you know, what they call it, love bombing, is that the term?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
You just learned that a few months ago. We're really proud of them. Yeah.
If someone, I don't think I've love bombed someone thinking it's real. I really thought I was, you know, and then it's just faded. I was like, oh no, fucking. I got this person I gotta fucking
Yeah, I think that happens like the older you get, like you're a little more sure. Like I feel like because I would feel that way because there's just like this like intensity that you have when you're like you're so it's like puppy love, and then like you do get a little hardened the older you get and a little bit more calloused, and you're like I do like this person, but like I don't know. Can't spell disappointment without men, you know what I mean? So, I might as well just curb my expectations. Like, I don't even remember the last time that I was like fucking stars in my eyes of somebody. Like, even like my current boyfriend, who I'm like very in love with, when he like first met me, he was like, I was just like, so like it was magical. And I was like, he's like, how did you feel? I was like, tempered expectations. I really liked him, but I was just like, he might like be a weird liar and a psychopath. Who fucking knows? He could be like a manipulative asshole. Like I don't trust any guy that says that he likes me. I'm like, yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see
smart
about
play.
That. It's protection.
Yeah.
It's protection.
Yeah, because you don't want to like let your guard down and then
I won't be no fool.
Yeah.
No, I ain't gonna be no fool. You got me? No, fuck that.
So I think like when someone comes in with love bombing, it's sort of a like sign that's not real.
Yeah.
Like, automatically, it's not real.
Well,
because you don't know. If you don't know me,
yeah.
then how can you love me?
Yeah.
So it's like I think that is sort of like another type of objectification where like I'm using you to feel good myself.
Yeah, I think when somebody tries to like fast track a relationship, that's a big red flag too.
Yes.
Like they just are like, we should do this together and do this. And it's like, all right, there's a healthy relationship is built on a good foundation, which requires time and requires patience. And I think that a lot of people just like anything, like we want to be like instantly famous. We want like instant money. We want to lose 20 pounds in a month or like and it's just like, that's the most irritating thing to hear is that things take time, and they just do. And that's what goes with a relationship as well. I also think like a big red flag is like not listening.
Yes, I was just thinking.
Yeah.
I was gonna drop it in after, but go ahead, Dina.
I feel like what do you mean by like not? Because I have so many definitions of not listening.
What came to my mind was someone who just fucking talks, and then when you start talking, they stop listening, or they start talking again, or change the subject to them. Just,
Yeah, I feel like not remembering things. Like if you are like, oh yeah, this time you'll tell them like something like really intense or something like even like really important to you. Like maybe you were like vulnerable and they don't even remember it, and you're like, wow, that hurts. That's wild. Yeah. What are red flags do you see in women?
I was going to ask you, what should I look out for? Because listening to me, I want to be the listener. I don't want to talk that much. On dates and stuff, I'd rather just let them talk, and then I could chime in and give my opinions about their situation. I don't really want to talk about myself that often.
That's kind of a good instinct. Not to like make it super gendered, but I feel like in general, women on dates, like they do like a dude to kind of be like, so what are you? Like ask questions and stuff like that. But honestly, a woman could feel the same way you do and be like, I want the guy to like do most of the talking. So I don't know. But is there anything that you find that you're like, I avoid this?
I've been in not like a relationship, but whatever, with a girl who, astrology's cool. Everyone can have their interests. But when you explain my behavior through something I'm not even into, and then I'm like, yo, that's not true. Here's why I feel that way. It has nothing to fucking do that with me being a Scorpio.
No, well, I mean, you would say that as a Scorpio, though.
Yeah, and then they're like, that is, if you can be into it, but dude, if you're just not taking responsibility for your actions because of that, it's like you're a fucking child. Come on.
I know. Yeah. It's like a way to like just explain your shitty behavior and not take responsibility for it. It's just be like, well, the reason why I just like am always late and can't text you back is because I'm a Capricorn. So it actually feels like really oppressive to us. And that's why we can't do that. And it's just like, can you just own up to it? Like the stars didn't make you like this much of a douchebag. Like it's just like, just fucking own up to it.
Like you fucked my best friend, and it's not because you were born in the afternoon. That's not why.
No, it's because of an Aries. And you should actually, you're being really like judgmental and kind of violent toward me when you say that I can't fuck your best friend, because it is my star sign to do that. And you actually should educate yourself more about the zodiac in order to understand why I would do that. So it's kind of on you. I think also, obviously, gaslighting is a huge fucking red flag when like somebody has like alternative facts and you're like, what? Like, in what world did that happen? There's so many goddamn like red flags. Green flags. Let's talk about green flags. Green flags.
Educate me.
Doesn't have Instagram.
Oh, see, red flag. I think that's a red flag. Yeah, because I'm like, are you on the lam? Are you in the witness protection program? Like, green flag, you do have an Instagram, but you have like 10 posts. Like, you barely use it.
And it's private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Private,
friends only.
Below 800 followers.
Yeah, that's a
Look at
green
this
flag.
Angel. Who is this angel that God sent me?
Yeah, I like that. I also like, I just like when people are not, especially like dudes that are not active on it. Because like, Instagram, it is like, unless you're doing something like if you're a dude and it's like for your career, I totally understand.
Yeah.
If you're a chick and like, it's very scrapbooky. It's like very like, look at me and my friends and like, here's a cute picture of me and like, this is when I went to Bali and this is like, blah, blah, blah. It's very feminine to like want to be like, I like to share what's happened in my life. When a guy is like that, I'm like, bruh. What's going on? Like, you're fucking lame, dude. Like, this is so lame. This is so lame. And he's like, yeah, I just had some granola this morning. I'm like, no one gives a shit, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to see, there's like so many days on Instagram where I've seen their nipples. I'm like, I shouldn't know that. I should know what your nipples look like. I don't even know your middle name.
I don't know what
I got a rule.
color if your areola.
If I don't know your middle name, I don't want to see your nipples.
Or your feet.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let's talk about the abhorrent nature of men's feet. In public showing of feet.
What is wrong with y'all?
I don't know. My feet are not great.
But you don't wear sandals.
No.
I respect that.
I do own flip-flops.
But that's when you go to the beach.
Right.
So that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would never wear them if I was not going to the beach.
You can bury them in the sand
Yeah.
at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
No,
That's a big
them.
red flag to me, like flip-flops in like a urban environment. I'm like, what do you want to get, a toe infection? Like you're going to get you're going to get tetanus. I know, it's gross. Also like the borderline of like red green flag sartorial choices in men, like a guy who like dresses like okay, like well enough where you could see that he respects himself, but not too well where you could tell that he is an egomaniacal oh my God, I can't speak, an egomaniac or like a narcissist.
Yeah, like if he has like something fuzzy on him and he's like, I need a lint brush, so I gotta go.
Also guys that like when guys just have like dandruff or like fucking like they're like shit, like you're like, you didn't even like massively chapped lips and shit. I'm like, come on, dude.
Just pull that piece of skin. Let me get it.
Oh God, the skin flake on the lip. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, do you know how much like I use like a fucking magnetized mirror to like to pluck my eyebrows like really specifically, and I'm like, you literally have like chunks of flesh falling off your face. You look like The Walking Dead right now. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Eye bugs and shit. Just mucus membrane.
Yeah, there's just mucus on them.
I'm
dude.
so self-conscious about how I look right now. Like that.
You look great.
You look clean.
Good. I don't do any work.
I mean,
No, you shower every day and you floss every day.
floss. Oh my God. I don't know who needs to hear this, but floss. It helps your breath. Bad breath.
Yeah.
It's so hard to overcome bad breath. That's how you know if you like someone, is if they have fucking stank breath.
Yeah, they have
You're
diaper
like,
breath and you can still kiss them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
know
my
you love-
God.
that's
They have
love.
Yeah, they have like caca breath and you're like, it's fine. Oh my God. I learned this recently. So bad breath, we think like, okay, like maybe the person has halitosis. Maybe it's a medical issue. I'm going to give them a pass. Let's say there's something fucking cooking in their esophagus that like they can't fix this. They need some like medical intervention with this shit. So I looked it up. I was like, what is bad breath? Like how many people have halitosis? How common is it? 96% of bad breath is caused by bad oral hygiene.
Yeah.
Which means that people that have bad breath, they just have dirty mouths. I wanted to give them an out. Be like, maybe they just genetically have some sort of like shitty thing happen to them. I know this chick who is smoking hot. So fucking hot. She's so like sweet, funny. I'll show you guys pictures of her after. Like you'll be like, damn, this bitch is hot. So hot, so fucking cool, funny, like lovely, dresses well. Great personality. Breath smells like a fucking porta potty.
Who's going to tell her?
It's just sad, dude, because I'm just like, and I feel like and she's with someone who's like not attractive. Like she's in a relationship and she's like so much better than, like she's so much more attractive than them in all of these ways, like personality wise and looks wise. And I'm like, that caca breath, I'm like, this is why. I'm pretty sure, because he can be like, well, I'll put up with this because like I'd never get this 10, you know? It's, yeah. And it just makes me bummed out.
It's anti-nausea medicine.
It's so, yeah, dude. It's just, look, floss your fucking teeth. Hygiene's a big thing too. I mean,
bad breath can make the other people gag, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and how can you, I don't.
no.
But yeah, it's like, I don't want to shade people who, you know, have a medical condition. But yeah, you said, what, 90?
Yeah, no, it's like, it's halitosis is kind of like a false flag is what I'm saying. I used to think that, like, I used to give people the leeway. I just like, it's probably like, I got it. Like, I don't want to be judgmental. Like, there's some people just have, you know, things that they can't do and they don't have. And I'm, you know, who am I to judge? And now I'm like, I'm a saint for judging. I'm actually I'm a truther, dude. I'm a bad breath truther, dude. And I won't let it happen anymore. Yeah. Okay? Brush your damn teeth.
Floss. It makes a big difference.
Chew a fucking stick of gum, for Christ's sake.
I got a red flag for men and women.
What?
All things. This is more for people in their early 20s. Posting advice.
Ew. Oh.
Shut the fuck up.
So true.
Writing a memoir at like 23.
Yeah. Like when I've been like, a year ago, if you ask, I was like, dude, you're 22. Stop.
You're not
What kind of
Malala.
advice have you seen that's like Instagram advice, like on their stories?
I guess it's mostly dudes. I don't see girls do it that often. But girls will post inspirational quotes and be like this, and I'm like, that's the dumbest. What are you talking about?
I hate that.
How are you at a point in your life where you're gonna have the keys? Stop. Stop
I also
doing
think
it.
Instagram is only for two things. It's to be funny or to be sexy. And if you're not doing either of those things, like I want to see a chick like in a bikini or like looking hot or cool outfits or somebody like being funny. And if you're not being either of those things, you're like, when my pet frog died, I didn't know what I was gonna do. And I'm like, take this out of here. Like when my second cousin passed away, I'm like, you don't even fucking. What? Like, I remember like telling people
that shit to Facebook.
Dude, it was so funny. I remember like saying like my grandmother died last year and my grandfather died a few months ago. And I remember mentioning it to somebody and they're like, oh, like you didn't post about it. I was like, why?
Why? Yeah.
Why would I post about my racist grandfather dying? Who was 93. It wasn't like, he went too soon. Like, it's like, no, it's good. Like, yeah, float on. Just like, let's go.
Or anyone that posts solutions to world problems. Stop doing it. They're like, well, what we really need is to love one another and maybe homelessness would stop. And it's like,
even like big, like sweeping political views. I mean, I don't know. I feel like even that's like, that I'll give a little bit of a pass to because I do feel like at this point, like the world is so polarized that it's like, you know, making like kind of like strong claims might be. And look, most of my family, is like very liberal and progressive. So I feel like I don't need to, like, I'm like, you guys are all going to kind of vote the same way I do. But I can understand people that are like, no, like my family is like a super right wing or whatever, that like, I feel like I want to share this information. Then I'm like, all right, that's fair. I don't relate to it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel
even that to me is any go vote, have your political opinions, be involved in the world. But dude, ripping shit on social media and then doing that and acting like you're better than people who don't post things.
Oh,
where
well,
it's
that's
like
the
they're like,
worst.
you're being silent on this. It's like, yeah, fucking who the fuck cares about what I think? And even if they did, why?
It's like so like, well, just being preachy is
Preachy,
like a
that's
really
it, yeah.
gross. That's like a pretty gross behavior. Like I don't like anybody that like preaches. That's another red flag because I think people that give advice and preach, it's usually because those to me are like the most unhealthy people. I think that they're
unsolicited advice. Like no one's that can be perceived as criticism. First of all, like if someone comes up to you and like, you know, they're like, you should do this, and I didn't ask you for that. It's like, oh, you have an issue with me living life.
Yeah, I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit one fucking bit. Okay, you fucking hear me? You fucking hear me?
What are some ones I don't know about with girls? Because I feel
Are there red flags?
Yeah.
I don't like when guys are like dodgy and uncommunicative. I think this is like a really big one. I think that guys feel like they'll seem too thirsty if they like communicate. But really, like, I feel like I've said it on this podcast before, but like women, if they're attractive, they have a lot of things going on. They have a lot of options. And honestly, guys that like communicate with you like more, and this isn't to say do not fucking bother me via text. I don't like when like I'm getting a constant barrage of texts like throughout the day of like, what do you think about this? Have you seen this? Blah 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 blah. Like it's not about that. Like I want to spend like actual one-on-one time with the person in real time. But I think when a guy, like let's say he asks you out or gets your number or whatever, and he waits like 3 or 4 days to hit you up, I'm like, who is this you don't even really seem that excited to hang out with me. And then you do hang out with the guy, you go on a date, and like, you know, you don't need to like text me when I get home, but like if we had a really nice time and you like me, don't wait like 5 days to hit me up, because I'll be like, I'll think you're playing games purposefully, and then to me, I think that's a red flag, and then it sucks because it's just a miscommunication. Because the guy could be like, I really like this girl, but I don't want to like bother her, or I don't want to seem like too desperate or thirsty, so I'm just not going to hit her up. But we're like, wait, this guy's not hitting me up, but it seems like he really likes me. I'm just really confused. Is he doing this purposefully for me to not get like too attached to him? Like, you know, not silence is a form of communication. And so when people like don't hit you up, you're like, oh, this is signaling something to me.
And speaking of silence as a form of communication, I think it's a red flag when someone keeps hitting you up over and over and over when you haven't responded to them.
Oh my God.
Just like back to back to back. Can you get me gummies from Whole Foods? What the fuck? I don't even like you. Like,
dude, have you ever, I'm sure you have this in your DMs, somebody who's been having a conversation with themselves for like years?
Not me.
Yes.
Yo, it is like literally like a guy like being like, hey, just saw you like this. Hey, how's it going? Merry Christmas, Nina. And you're like, what the fuck? Heard it was your birthday. And you're like, what? Like, and you just open it up and it's literally like 3 years of somebody, no response, of them just talking to themselves.
Yeah.
Thinking that one of them is going to be like, yeah, you know what? I do like the new Iron Man movie. I'm so glad you brought that up. Hey, let's open this. Like, who? That's a psychotic behavior. Like, that's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, that's sort of, I think there's a term for it when people have like a relationship with a celebrity.
It's parasocial relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. A parasocial relationship is when you think you know somebody because of their social media, which...
I do that every day.
Yeah, well, no, it's happened to you.
Yeah.
It's happened to you.
I constantly form an opinion about someone based off their social media. And then if we go out, I'm like, what happened to my plan?
No, but I feel like it happens to you, actually.
Oh, it happens to me.
You're the recipient
Oh, yeah, for
of
sure.
it a lot.
For sure. Because I think people are expecting me to like be super energetic, and then I'm just not. And that always happens when I meet just dudes in public. They're like, oh, you're like just, you don't talk that much. I'm like, no, man, I'm just drinking. Like, I'm not doing fucking
chilling
a bit.
Yeah, that's
yes,
another red flag.
God.
I think we were going to say the exact same thing.
Doing bits and conversation, because you're like desperately seeking validation. It's like you don't give a shit that I'm dying on the inside. That, you know, I'm just like praying for a comet to hit me. Like, God, send me a comet. Like, you don't care. It's all about like me fulfilling your needs or whoever you're around. I can't stand. So many people do that. Like, just to have a conversation. I can't go
doing bits. Like, it's just, okay, if you're having fun, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you like are not reading because that's the thing, like, I think some people think because like, you know, you're a comedian that you just like are just a bucket of laughs all the time. And you just like joking around. You're like, come on down here to the Comedy Cellar. It's right here happening in my body and brain all the time. And they don't realize you're actually a comprehensive human being who has a range of emotions, and being real. Like, that's kind of my biggest pet peeve with hanging out with comics. Well, it will just become a bit war where everyone's just like, oh, this, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And I'm like, I'd like to talk also about something genuine and earnest and real as well. And to me, a red flag is somebody that can't do that, because I'm like, you are clung so tightly and so afraid to expose yourself or just or open up in that way, because you're like, if I'm not being funny, then who am I? I'm nothing if I'm not funny all the time. That's a big issue.
Yeah, if that's your identity and that's it. And then, I mean, like, there's, one thing consensual bit exchanges
Yes.
is one thing.
Yeah.
That sounded
What a
way
way to
more
phrase
sexual
that.
than I meant. But yeah, like someone who's just hammering their personality on you, or like just
It's
basically
grotesque. It's exhausting.
It's why I don't leave my house if I don't have to. That's why I got a dog, because I was like, I need something to make me leave my house, because these people aren't doing it.
And
for
your
me.
dog's not doing bits. Thank
Yeah,
God.
my dog will just shut the fuck up.
You ever meet someone whose personality is that they're depressed? And you're
Oh
like,
my
okay,
God.
it's cool. I hope you're doing well, but every fucking story is about, it's so negative. Everything.
Or like how you're just like, hey man, how's it going? They're like, I'm okay. I've been better. But they always answer that way.
Yeah.
And you're like, can you just lie for once? Because
Yeah.
maybe experiment with this. Maybe if you say I'm doing good, you'll accidentally be doing good.
Yeah.
It's like really a lot of this shit is like, life is what you make it a lot. And I think a lot of people feel like life is happening to them. They're like, and this happened to me. And then this happened to me. And I'm like, you are not seizing any control in the things that you do have control of in your life. And you actually have a good amount of control, more than you think. And I think
Playing victim, that's a red
dude,
flag.
biggest pet peeve
Yeah,
is
that's-
people that victimize themselves. I'm like, you fucking pathetic. Fucking clean yourself off. You're fucking disgusting.
Or the people that do the story wars where you explain something that happened to you in their life, and they're like, one time and I'm like, okay,
Yes.
offer me an opinion about what I just said. And I do it. I do that shit all the time, where someone's telling me a story, especially if I'm fucked up. I'm like, this is sick. I have something so much better than what they're telling me right now.
Well, I think it's like, I think if it's coming from like a sweet place, it is like, it can be perceived as rude, obviously, but I think sometimes it's also like you genuinely wanting to connect with the person. Like you're like, oh, like this happened to me in a relationship and this guy did this to me. And I'm like, dude, like the same thing, like a similar thing happened to me. I can see how like maybe somebody would be like, oh, they're really like taking steam out of my experience. But sometimes, and I kind of had to learn that, like, because I think I used to relate to people by being like, oh, like I relate to you. This similar thing happened, instead of just being like, I don't have to relate in like a shared experience, But it's hard. I mean, that's kind of like, that's a little wavy, I feel like either way it could go. I don't know.
All right. Well, another
Rip
question.
roll.
Where is the line on breastfeeding pictures? I'm so happy we can finally tackle this. This is not from a user. This is from me. And I'll explain what I mean by this.
Wow.
Look, motherhood is a beautiful thing, and it should be celebrated. And I don't think there should be a stigma against breastfeeding public or anything like that. But some of these fucking people are posting videos and pictures on their Instagram of them breastfeeding where it's full tit and then a baby. And I'm just thinking, hey man, your son's going to grow up and not want that to be on the internet. And why?
I'm
Why
all
do
about
it?
it though. I'm all about it. Like, just put it out there. We have so much shit on the internet that our kids, if we have kids, if the world is even still alive and to have kids, like, are going to see,
Yeah, but we could avoid some of these things.
I kind of like, why do you want to have like a pic of your titty with like an infant as a nipple ring on it? Basically, like that. It's just like, yo, your son's a nipple clamp right now.
Yeah.
That's I actually, I really respect, and I feel like, I don't know, this is unsolicited advice, so I shouldn't be giving this because
fuck it.
maybe sounds preachy. I think when you post your children like on social media, like I understand when people like blur out their faces, because I'm like, that's kind of like, especially like celebrities usually do that, which makes sense. But I think like, especially when it's that, like I'm like, and it's honestly, I do like seeing kind of baby pics, which I know nobody says that, but I kind of, I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Look at this person's daughter or son. That's cute.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't, a gratuitous like,
This is my breast and this is my child, and I will do whatever I damn please with it. And if they say that I can't,
and you're like, dude, relax, lady. But I think on the obverse side of that, what's creepy to me?
If kids have teeth and they're still breastfeeding,
Ooh, nope.
Okay.
Nope.
That's a bad thing. Yeah.
That's bad. Well, I was gonna say this. You know those weird little. It's always like in red states, but they'll have like a weird breastfeeding hut in a airport. You know, they're It's like our 21st century version of like a menstrual hut. You know, they're like please take child in here while they feed. You know, and it's like
hide yourself.
Yeah, hide yourself, even though you're feeding your child. Because I think that's like. And that's what I definitely want to like. I'm very supportive of women breastfeeding in public because it's weird that we sexualize it.
Me too.
For the record.
Just for the record. I just mean not the classy blanket one where it's like, why are you thirsting a breastfeeding picture? You know you are.
Well, see,
Don't lie to me and say you're not.
The issue is that men, I think the reason why they have these fucking breastfeeding like huts in airports, these privacy spaces, because they want the mother to feel comfortable. It's not about us, okay? It's about you, sweetheart. And we know you don't want to show us your breast in public. And like, oh, I'm just feeding my child. No. See, the issue is I sexualize that. Yeah. So you got to do something about it. That's the issue. So how do I? You're sexualizing the breast. That's why.
I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. I need to.
It wouldn't be so triggering. It's not even consciously. It's like, I mean, even I feel like it can be sexy to see that, even though like I don't want to feel that way. Like it's just
it's Freudian.
We hide tits in this society. Nipples are considered salacious. So just the idea of like something sucking on a nipple, it's just like automatically your mind might go one place, even though it's just a mom feeding her baby.
It is psychological. It's pretty psychological. I would never. I mean, look, I have a theory that like the real hoes are the ones that are like a little more quiet about it. You know, like whenever like a girl is like really like posting like a lot of thirst traps and like bikini pics and stuff like that online and like breast whatever, like basically like almost nudity pics, I'm kind of like, well, I don't even think you really fuck that much. You know what I mean? It's just like for the like gratification. Yeah. But like the girls I know that are like pretty much like sex addicts, they're like, nobody really knows about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they're a little bit, they don't even post thirst traps.
These bitches wear flannel.
Yeah. They're the ones that are like, that they want to get like DP'd. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that, so I don't know. Like, I think that is maybe a little bit of a part of it, but it's like, it's weird to use your child as, it's just they can't consent to that. Like
it's mostly
imagery.
I'll provide some examples when we release this, so I don't get fucking ruined by people. But because it is, it's like the kid's gonna be in middle school, and if you're a hot mom, they're gonna find that picture and then bully him in 10 years.
Maybe just
for sure.
Do you have that experience, like, or like not you personally, but like, do you know like kids that's happened to?
No, because. I mean, when I was a baby, it was like pre-social media, so nobody was really doing that. But I'm sure there is going to be shit that I'll see eventually where it's like kids.
Isn't it going to be weird that like people's parents are going to be like, you can literally like totally troll like somebody's like, you can troll like your friend's parents via social media. Like kids now that are like 8 years old, and let's say their mom is like 28 or something like that, and like an avid user of like Instagram, you could literally like find the profiles of your like friends' parents and shit like that and like go through them. That's like wild to me. And you could use it for like fucking fodder to make fun of them.
Yeah, we do that. I mean, if you had a hot mom,
parents' names.
Yeah, if you got a hot mom, you're
gonna know.
Tell her to make that shit private.
Yeah,
you're like, this is for your own good. As a son, you become like an abusive boyfriend to your mom. Like, I just don't want anyone looking at you. Okay, so you gotta hide away. Wear this burqa. Okay, please do us all a favor. Okay, you're destroying my life with your sexiness. Okay, Jesus Christ,
stop dropping me to school. Stop dropping me
What's
off.
your ideal? Okay, so you're not looking for anyone right now, but
not actively,
but like
unless they're in a relationship and both of them are looking.
Yeah. So you're okay. So actively right now, you're down to experiment with being the third in a throuple. Mm-hmm. And that's like, is that like pretty much it? Or are you just kind of like, nah, I don't? Because you mentioned earlier not ever having this vision of yourself like getting married or.
I don't really want to biologically have kids, so there's no rush for me in that sense. Like maybe I'll adopt and then maybe I'll want to get married because I need the fucking help. I mean, that's how I felt like the first 2 months with the dog. I was like, I've never wanted to be in a relationship more in my life. I need so much help. Now we've settled. I'm like, okay, what the fuck was I thinking? Relax. But yeah, I think there's no biological clock for me, and I don't know, just exclusivity with one person for the rest of my life just has never appealed to me. And I love the idea of, I don't want to say free love, but I don't know, there has to be
on, people now. Everybody. Come on now.
But like, there has to be other paradigms besides this one that is hammered into us, like, from childhood. I mean, especially like coming from a culture where marriage is so important and foundational. It's like there has to be something different. You know, I like family structure, but why do families have to look a certain way? And I think we are evolving, but like, you know, I would like to rush that a little bit, at least for myself. Try something different.
Do you have are you first generation?
Yeah, I was born here.
Okay, so yeah, I'm first generation too, but my mother, you know, she's from Iran, but she's definitely like a more like modern woman. She's not like still married, and I think that's a big part of it. But do you get pressure from your parents?
Yes.
Like a lot?
Not as much anymore, I think, because I'm old, and now like I have other...
They've let it go. They've let that ship has sailed for them.
I won't say they've let it go, but it will slide back into conversations. They know I don't love it, so you know they have to be judicious when they're going to like play that card. But I mean, I think it's coming from a place of like, we just want you to have a support system, but a very specific support system that looks like this, this, and this. And it's like, that's not really my thing.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 3.
So did your other 2 younger siblings, have they kind of done the more traditional route, and that's why maybe you're a little bit off the hook? Because like ultimately they're like kind of like, we just want grandchildren in a way, you know?
Yeah, my younger sister's married. She just got married at the end of last year. And then my younger brother, he probably won't get married for a while. They're both doctors. I became a comedian. I'm the oldest.
Wow.
So I think like they had a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's
to just not fuck up. I mean, I fucked up. Like, if any child came to me and they said they wanted to do comedy, I would tell them no, don't do it. And then if they did it anyway, then they're supposed to do it.
It's kind of like killing baby Hitler. You know what I mean? It's like if a child comes to you and says he wants to be a comedian, do you just be like, you just smother them in their sleep, you know, just to make sure that like, you know, nothing bad happens in the future.
This is for you.
Yeah, this is Minority Report. You know, just like you're gonna say some really bad jokes at open mics, and we got to make sure you don't take stage time away from other people. So sorry, but this has to happen.
The world.
Do you want kids, Nina?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm like people are pretty surprised by that, and that's the thing. It's like I wanted to say, like, you know, happiness. Your parents ultimately like want you to be happy, and I think that they project their own happiness or idea of happiness onto you. And don't really understand how maybe that doesn't align with what your happiness is. Like, they're probably like, hey, like, you know, sweetheart, like, don't you want to like get married and have a man take care of you and then have like children and have this like beautiful, like loving life? And you're like, well, my version of happiness doesn't really look like that. Yeah. And I kind of feel that way too. Like, I think that it's still, I mean, luckily the older I've gotten, that ship has sailed, especially for like my mom, but she was never like super, wasn't like a lot of pressure, but like I also have I do have a little bit more of a traditional desire, which is I do want to get married. I don't think I want like a ridiculous wedding, but I do want to get married, and I want to be a mom. I think that's like an undeniable human experience that I would like to have because like I think it would be fun. But I'm also, you know, I'm like 32, and it's weird because like there is a biological clock aspect, and I kind of have to keep that in mind. And then you're just like, like, do I have to like, you have to like plan it and all this shit. And then it's like, it is kind of like a whole to do, but I do want to do that. And I think that it's like to each their own, you know, like, do you want to have kids?
I think so, but yeah, I definitely would want to have a family, but really what I want is just to be a grandpa. That's
Me too.
You'd be such a good grandpa.
That's all I want. I want like maybe someone's children have a bunch of kids, and the grandfather dies, and I'm just like, dude, I don't have to be a step. Just let me sub. Like, I'll come over and just hang.
Grandpa.
Yeah, and just hang on the porch and like fucking hit my dab pen and tell these kids stories.
You would like nail it as an uncle.
Oh, dude, yeah, I think I'll be a really fun because all my uncles are fucking so fun and so fucking funny, like really fucking some of the funniest dudes I've ever met.
I feel like you could like be like a de facto uncle. Like when I like have a child, you'll be an uncle to my kids. I don't have any siblings, so I'm gonna have to like import uncles and aunts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to just make them those.
I'm very excited for my friends to start having kids, just so I can be like when the parents are around, to be like fuck, 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 or repeat this word, fuck, fuck, fuck.
They're like not parents. You can't just be like they're like fuck, fuck, fuck. They're
might work. Who knows?
I mean, my favorite thing, it is really fun to fuck with kids, especially like just like if you trick them with little things that they like can't understand. Like my favorite thing to do to a kid is be like, hey, I'm kind of tight on money. Do you have like $20? And they're like, it's like a 4-year-old. They're like, what? And you're like, yeah, just like, do you have like 20? And they have like a genuine like look of concern. Like they want to help you. Mm-hmm. They like don't know how. Or just like to like a 7-year-old. I'm just like, hey, can I borrow your car? And they want to help. They like also feel like at that age that they like should have a car. They're like, fuck, like I gotta get a car, so like you could borrow it, you know? And then they're like, oh, like let me figure this out. Like they're like, hold up, I'll figure it out. And you're like, yeah, that'd be great. I just need to borrow it really quickly. So but I'll put gas in it. And they're like, oh yeah.
That's fucking.
See, it's
great.
fun. It's fun to fuck with kids, you know?
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I think everybody's happiness like looks different, and that's the thing too. It's like, you don't need to like. I feel kind of bad for like. I think this is maybe not happening as much anymore, like the traditional like family structure, because I think like really like a few decades ago, you just like you got married. It was like there was such a trajectory of life that was like already established, which is like you went to college, you got your degree, you then like hopefully met somebody in college, then you got married like 22, 23, then you started having children maybe like a few years after that, then you like bought a house, then maybe you had another kid, and then you paid off your mortgage, and then you like retired when you were 65, and that was just kind of this set forth like trajectory that had been like handed down for like probably the last like, I don't know, 50, 60 years, something like that. And now it's like, I mean, there's a lot of freedom now, because I think that, and still a lot of people are on that trajectory, but, and I do want to say that I'm aware of the fact that that is a lot of pressure that some people do get from their families still to this day. But I think that's kind of leaving. I think that's being like a lot, like people aren't like back in the day, dude, like literally like 20, 30 years ago, to have like our lifestyles was like, we were insane.
Yeah.
We were weirdos. They were like, oh, those are the dregs of society. Like really, like people would be like really astonished by, like they'd be like, oh, whoa, you're definitely not happy. Like they
you don't contribute.
They're not wrong.
Just not in the way that they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean? Do you have any questions for us by any chance? Any advice, relationship questions you want to ask us?
Yeah, because I know you said you're in a happy relationship. What was the turning point? Like, what makes this relationship, this person, this dynamic different from the previous?
Honesty. There's like a lot of like honesty there, which sometimes is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Because I think I also lived in like with other relationships, I think I was kind of like it's all good, man. Yeah. Like sort of thing when it wasn't all good. And I think they also were like, it's all good, but it wasn't all good with them. And we just kind of were like gritting our teeth and like kind of existing in it. And really not really being super open and transparent about our real desires or things that bothered us. I think that was like an important thing. Like, I think it's not like, sometimes like, you bicker in a relationship and it's interesting. Like, I've been in relationships where like we never, ever fought. Yeah. And I used to think that was like a really good thing. Like, oh, we never argued ever. But then I realized like, holy shit, like literally like, in one relationship, like months and months later, like, well, when you did this on Thanksgiving, I was like, fuck, that was like 9 months ago. Like they like held on to shit. And like, because we never really had conflict, like so much of it had like grown and it calcified it, And then it was like, well, now we can't do anything because this is like, there's so much resentment that is built up, as opposed to like, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're constantly like, again, it's like pick and choose your fucking battles.
Yeah.
But like, it is really important to be like honest with somebody, but also like that you feel like they've created a space for you to also be like, this bothered me, or like, can you work on this? Because I felt like maybe I was in relationships where I didn't feel like I had that leeway where I couldn't say and do those things. Or they would never say anything to me. So I was like, well, I don't want to just be complaining if they don't like, you know, say anything to me. And ultimately what a good relationship looks like is that you guys kind of have the same goals in mind and you guys both want to achieve them and also like buoy the other person up.
Yeah.
Like to me, like his happiness is my happiness, you know, like, and not the other way around. And I don't make him, he doesn't need to make me happy. No one will make you happy.
Yes, that's important.
So happiness, they can like help it. They shouldn't make you unhappy. That's for damn sure. They should celebrate your happiness, but also like pushing one another, you know, but without them being like a coach, you know, you know, don't be too hard on the person, but be like, if you would know what their goals are, maybe like remind them to be on track with them without being parenty about it. But yeah, I think for me, it was just like, there's a comfortability that I feel, you know, and like a safety that I feel that like, we can always like talk through things, you know, and like, yeah, it's work, man. But it's also, it's like, it's effortless and work at the same time. It's kind of, it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's like a relationship is like meant to maintain, you know, like you have to like actively work on it and do it. I guess that's my answer.
I love it.
Yeah. What about for Liam? You want to ask him any earlobe questions?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if I could flick your earlobe.
Yes, you may.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you for giving me permission. Should I do it for the camera?
Yeah, do it for the camera. Did that bring you joy?
Thick.
They are. They're thick.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really,
thank you.
You know,
for having me.
This is great. Do you have anything to plug? Anything coming up?
Just check me out on the social media stuff at Fizaa Dosani on all the platforms. FIZAADOSANI.
Also, you post a lot of your stand-up online, and it's really fucking funny. So
Thank you.
You're a really good Instagram follow because you always have these like really good, like concise, like hilarious clips of you performing. So it's a good follow. It's a good follow.
Stay in touch.
I'm so fucking sweaty right now.
Yeah, it's so fucking
I literally
hot.
need to like chug water because I've lost a lot of water.
Do you have paper towels?
Yes,
for
I do.
real.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.